Hello, and welcome back to the English Cast. I'm Ryan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emma, and we're very happy to have you with us today.
Have you ever been packing your suitcase for a big trip, and you turn to your friend to say, I am going to bring my best jacket to Paris? You say the sentence, but then you pause. You suddenly wonder if you should have said, I am going to take my best jacket to Paris. It is a tiny hesitation, but it can really interrupt the flow of a great conversation.
I hear that mistake all the time, and it is completely normal. That happens to a lot of learners. The words bring and take are incredibly frustrating because they both describe the exact same physical action. In both situations, you are holding an object and carrying it from one place to another. So, when your brain is trying to speak quickly, it just grabs the first word that comes to mind, which often leads to a bit of confusion.
That is a really interesting way to think about it. The physical action is identical, but the feeling and the direction are completely different. And that is exactly what we are going to clear up today. By the end of this episode, you will know exactly which word to choose without even having to think about it. The secret to mastering bring and take is simply understanding where you are standing right now.
Exactly. It is all about your current location and the direction the object is traveling. I always like to visualize it. If an object is moving towards you, coming to the place where you are right now, you use the word bring. It is arriving at your location.
That is a great rule to start with. Movement toward the speaker is bring. For example, imagine you are sitting at your desk at work. You are really busy and you feel thirsty. You might look at a coworker who is walking toward the kitchen and ask, could you bring me a glass of water? The water is going to travel from the kitchen directly to your desk.
That makes perfect sense because the water is coming to you. Now, on the flip side, we use the word take when an object is moving away from your current location. The object is leaving where you are and going to a completely different destination.
So, using that same office situation, imagine you have a stack of signed documents on your desk. They need to go to the manager's office down the hallway. Because those documents are leaving your desk and moving away from you, you would say, I need to take these documents to the manager.
That is actually a great example. You are taking them away. I think about this in my daily life all the time, especially when I am leaving my house in the morning. I stand by the front door, look at my bag, and say, I need to take my laptop, and I need to take my keys. They are leaving the house with me.
And the beautiful thing is that this rule also applies to people and pets. It is not just for inanimate objects. Think about a parent in the morning. They might say, I have to take my children to school. The parent and the children are moving away from the house.
But later in the afternoon, the situation reverses. If the mother is sitting at home, she might call her partner and say, Can you bring the kids home? Because she is at the house, the children are now moving toward her location.
I want to share a realistic mistake that I hear quite frequently, and I think it perfectly illustrates why this can be so tricky. Emma, imagine a learner is at home looking at their broken coffee maker. They want to get it fixed today. They might confidently say, I need to bring this coffee maker to the repair shop.
Oh, yes. I have definitely heard sentences just like that. It sounds completely natural to the learner, but to a native speaker, it feels slightly out of place. Because the person is standing in their own kitchen, the coffee maker is leaving the house. So, gently correcting that, they should actually say, I need to take this coffee maker to the repair shop.
Exactly. You are taking it away from your current location. But why do so many intelligent, hardworking learners make this specific mistake?
The reason that happens to a lot of learners is simply translation. In many languages around the world, there is only one verb used to describe carrying something, regardless of the direction. When a learner translates their thought into English, their brain doesn't naturally pause to calculate the geography of the situation. They just use the first English word they learned for carrying an object, which is usually bring.
That makes complete sense. If your native language doesn't force you to think about direction, it is a brand new habit you have to build in English. You just have to pause for 1 second and ask yourself, is this object coming toward me, or is it going away from me?
Once you start asking that question, it becomes a reflex. But I know there is a slightly deeper, more advanced usage that sometimes breaks this simple rule. Ryan, what happens when we want to be polite and focus on the person we are talking to?
That is a fantastic point, and it introduces a very natural, friendly exception to our rule. In English, we sometimes shift our perspective to match the listener's location. If you are carrying something and moving toward the person you are talking to, you will use the word bring, even though you are leaving your own location.
Let me think of a good everyday scenario for this. Imagine my friend is hosting a dinner party at her house. I am at my house getting ready to leave. I call her on the phone and say, I baked a chocolate cake. I will bring it to the party tonight.
That is a perfect example. Technically, you are leaving your house, so you should use take. But because you are moving toward your friend and you are speaking directly to her, you shift your perspective to her house. You say, I will bring it. It sounds incredibly warm and polite.
It really does. It shows that you are focused on arriving at their location. I do this at work too. If my boss is waiting in the conference room and I am still at my desk, I will call him and say, I am bringing the reports to you right now. I am moving toward him.
But notice how the rule snaps right back into place if you change who you are talking to. Imagine you are walking down the hallway with a coworker. You are both heading to that exact same conference room. You would look at your coworker and say, I need to take these reports to the boss.
That is a really interesting way to think about it. Because my coworker and I are both moving away from where we are currently standing in the hallway, the word changes back to take. It really is all about perspective.
It is like a camera lens shifting its focus. I want to invite our listeners to practice this perspective shift with us. Take a moment and think about this sentence. Imagine you are sitting at a restaurant. You just had a huge, delicious meal, but you couldn't finish it all. You have some leftover pizza on your plate, and you want to carry it back to your apartment.
You raise your hand to get the waiter's attention. Which one sounds more natural to you? Would you ask the waiter for a box so you can bring the pizza home? Or would you ask for a box so you can take the pizza home? Take a few seconds to think about where you are sitting and where the pizza is going.
If you chose take the pizza home, you are absolutely correct. You are currently sitting inside the restaurant. Your home is far away. Because the pizza is moving away from your current location, you take it with you.
And if you guessed bring, please do not worry at all. It just means you are thinking ahead to when you finally arrive at your apartment. It takes a little bit of time to train your brain to stay anchored in your present location.
Let us put all of this into a real-life conversation scenario. Hearing these words used naturally back and forth is the best way to get comfortable with them. Emma, Let's imagine we are planning a weekend picnic at the park.
I love that idea. I will start us off. Hey Ryan, the weather is going to be beautiful this Saturday. We should definitely go to the park for a picnic.
That sounds like a great idea. I have a large picnic blanket at my house. I can take it with me when I head over. What about food?
Well, I am going to stop by the bakery in the morning. I will take some fresh bread and pastries to the park. Oh, could you bring some fruit from your garden?
Definitely. I will pick some fresh apples and bring them along. Since David is already going to be at the park setting up the games, I will text him and ask if he wants me to bring him a coffee.
That was a really smooth conversation. Let's briefly look at how we naturally use those words. Ryan started by saying he would take his picnic blanket. He was thinking about leaving his house with a blanket.
Exactly. And then Emma said she would take fresh bread from the bakery to the park. Again, she is moving away from the bakery. But then she asked me to bring some fruit. Why did you use bring there, Emma?
I used bring because I was imagining myself already at the park, waiting for you to arrive. I wanted the fruit to come toward my future location.
And finally, I mentioned texting David. Because David was already at the park, I shifted my perspective to him. I said I would bring him a coffee because the coffee and I are moving directly toward him.
It really feels like a dance once you understand the rhythm of it. You are just stepping toward people, or stepping away from places.
To make sure you feel totally confident moving forward, let's do a quick summary of the key concepts we discussed today.
The most important rule to remember is direction. If an object, a person, or a pet is moving toward your current location, you use the word bring. Think of it as, come here with it.
And if an object, a person, or a pet is moving away from your current location, heading to a completely different destination, you use the word take. Think of it as, go there with it.
Finally, remember the polite exception. If you are carrying something and moving directly toward the person you are talking to, you can switch your perspective and use bring. You are imagining yourself arriving at their location.
If you can visualize those simple movements, you will never have to pause and second-guess yourself again. You will be able to pack your suitcase and confidently say, I am going to take my best jacket to Paris. All right, that brings us to the end of today's episode. We hope this conversation helped make English feel clearer and more natural for you in everyday situations.
Remember, progress comes from small daily practice.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the English Cast so you don't miss the next one.
And as always, keep learning, keep speaking, and keep connecting. Thanks for spending your time with us. We'll see you in the next episode.